Hi everyone, it's Norman Koshnik here for Eyes on Cricket with Norman Koshnik. I'm joined by Mosen Sheikh. How are you?
Hi, Norm. How are you? Hi to the audience. I'm very well, thank you.
That's great. I decided, everyone, to have a session tonight because there's been a lot of interest in the social media world and the cricket world about the World Test Championship and the ramifications of the draw that's just happened between Australia and Pakistan, the ensuing matches which India are going to have, South Africa, West Indies, England, all sorts of ramifications, because 2023 is not very far away. We're already into 2022. And the table was put up by the ICC in all its glory. And these two draws that Australia have had with Pakistan has actually made it all the more interesting, because even though Australia's clearly in the lead at the moment, both Pakistan and certainly South Africa, along with India, appear to be the top four that are firming to actually play out to make the actual two that will make the World Test Championship final, which I believe it should be New Zealand, because New Zealand won the last time, even though New Zealand will not be in the World Test Championship final. It's very unlikely. But it seems to be firming that it's between Australia and potentially India, Pakistan, South Africa. But it could even be, looking at the test series to come, such as India beating Australia down the track, that it could be an India-Pakistan final. And that's what's intriguing to me, because Pakistan have got a lot of home tests, which will fall into their hands for sure, especially against England. I reckon they'll smash England at home. But I think the fact is that it'll fall into their hands. We could well see a World Test Championship final between India and Pakistan, or for that matter, Australia. But I wanted to talk about that and get Mosen's content. I've got Baran Marani coming on, I think a few others, Gurkrat Gill, who's very interested about this, Debashish Sen, who is a good friend of mine. He is with Extra Time and with Rev Sports with Bureen Majunda. It's the topic of conversation at the moment. And we've got Himanshu Ruhela here saying, Norman, for me, the WTC finals, Australia and Pakistan final. Well, it could easily be. In fact, if Pakistan win the match in Lahore, that's going to give Pakistan a pretty strong position to be in. And if India beat Australia, that'll probably mean Pakistan versus India. So Australia effectively have to lose to Pakistan and India for this to happen. And that's very likely. I mean, for God's sake, tonight, my beloved Rabbitohs, Sasson Rabbitohs, almost beat Melbourne despite playing horribly. I was in shock. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot going on. In fact, this video is surfacing that the Australians have actually arrived in Lahore.
Yeah, they're right. Yeah, both teams have reached Lahore, and they're training tomorrow as their first hit out in Lahore. Weather's been very kind in Lahore. Start to warm up in Lahore. It won't be as hot as in Karachi, and this test match is now becoming so critical for Pakistan to win, because they win. They're currently sitting second on the ladder. They win this, and then they've got England and potentially New Zealand at home. So I'd see Pakistan having a really good crack hot, attempt to be in the leading two test nations, to be able to play WTC final, whereas I see India making a really good progression when Australia play India at home. So that would be a test series to watch, because I think that's going to decide Australia being there or not. I don't see Australia losing in Sri Lanka, whereas Sri Lanka home ground is going to be tough as well, with their spinners and how they go about it. I think they've got two really tough series coming up. I still believe that India will be there. India will be one of the teams to be there. I think if India misses out, that will be the two test matches against New Zealand and South Africa that they missed out. Will be a big one. And if Pakistan would have won one of the two test matches, they would have been sitting very comfortable to go into Lahore, being one of the top nations in the test ladder. But having said that, if Australia would have won in Karachi, they would have consolidated that top position quite a bit. So that's why Lahore Test importance is really hotting up with the winners takes a lot of points home and consolidating their positions.
It's a very good point. I mean, I'm just intrigued because there's the so-called PCT percentage, which I'm not sure what PCT stands for, but it must be percentage of wins over loss. Australia on 71.42%, Pakistan 61.11%, South Africa 60%, India 58.33%, even Sri Lanka at 50%. But we can seriously forget England are gone. West Indies, Bangladesh, and I think New Zealand are all gone. Sri Lanka, form are gone as well. So really, it's going to be between Australia, Pakistan, South Africa, and India. But what I'm intrigued about is points-wise, India are actually on top. They've got 77 points, and they are actually ahead of Australia on 60, Pakistan on 44, and South Africa on 36. But because of the percentage ratio, that's what's determining the positioning. But in fact, India have actually had more wins, but they've had they've got penalty over points as well, which could bite them in the bum. But realistically, if Pakistan beat Australia in Lahore and India beat Australia, which we expect them to do, we're probably going to see if both those teams keep their nose clean, Pakistan and India playing in the final. Why? I think definitely England are going to Pakistan, and I believe South Africa are as well. And Pakistan are going to beat both those on their home ground, I think, and India's going to beat everybody at home as well. So realistically, that's putting this situation in a very interesting position. Mosen, so what is Australia 2023 Ashes squad? Well, it's a bit early.
It is a bit early, but I think there's a core of this group will probably remain. I'd like to see them remain with. Let's go from top. Uzi, Warner, Smith, Marnus, they pick themselves up. Then you go number 5 is the spot that I still think is open with Trevor Head, and if depending if you get Will Koski fit, then Uzi can slip down to 5 and Koski can open. So that spot is still, I think it's a little bit open. Then you got Kerry picks himself, and then you got your bowlers pick themselves up. But I would like to take Inglis as a backup keeper. Also, I would like to go with Bolland. Would be very handy in English conditions. And in saying that, I would probably like to see Patterson to go as a backup middle order, and also Matt Renshaw. Renshaw is going to be going in England playing for county as well, so he would be my backup batsman as well. So yeah, I think they want Marcus Harris. For me he misses out. For another backup fast bowler, I would go with Richardson, and if they need another seamer, I would go with Nisa. So that would be my backup quicks. For spinners, I would still like to keep Agar and Shrepson as backups. I don't think you'll play 2 spinners in England, so these 2 will be your backups. In terms of all-rounder, Cameron Green, and I think they're liking Mitch Marsh being fit and back, but I like to see Cam Green getting an extended run. He's done well enough to hold his spot as an all-rounder, and I'd like to keep him going for an extended run till next Ashes. So that would be my first choice squad.
I think that's a pretty good summation of who will be there. Let's get back to the World Test Championship for a moment. Okay. As it stands, I said Australia was first, Pakistan second, South Africa third, and India fourth. But in terms of points, it's really India, Australia, Pakistan, South Africa.
Yeah.
But this PCT percentage really only, at this point, Australia's on 71%. But Pakistan 61 and India 58, to me, if they win against Australia, will put themselves ahead percentage-wise pretty much for certain. The only thing that's going to bite India in the bum is the penalties that they've already received. Yeah. What I was going to also get to is, just out of curiosity, if you win a match, you get 12 points and you get 100 percentage points. If you tie, you get 6, which is 50. Draw, you get 4, and loss. So the draws are actually an advantage in a way, I would argue, rather than loss.
Well, exactly.
It's
You rather
benefit.
draw than lose. Yeah, I agree 100%. You rather draw than lose, but obviously, home advantage is something that if you're a touring team and if you win an away test, that has got good weighting as well. So, so for Pakistan going into Lahore next week, I think they would like to win that. They wouldn't want to give Australia that advantage to take that away test match away from Pakistan. So they would like to win that test match to keep that percentage higher. And I think with that win, their percentage will probably leap ahead of Australia, puts them in a good stead because they've got other 2 series are at home versus England and potentially against New Zealand as well. So those 2 series, they win those two series, because both of those teams highly unlikely making it to the final, and Pakistan have got a lot of stakes in making the final to win those 2 series. So I think there's a lot of motivation for if you're a Pakistani supporter or a Pakistani player to see a lot of Test cricket at home, and you want to be cheering their team, and the management got to be pushing the team. So that comes to all the coaching staff and all the management to prepare the team to actually go for the win rather than the draws, because that would put them in really good position to play a final. And who knows where
it amazes me with New Zealand how they made the previous World Test Championship, because in their 2-match series that they were playing, I believe it was the same then, they could only get a maximum of 24 points. They played 3, it was 36, 4, 48, and 560. So the longer series had a benefit if you won them. So why, I still don't, I know there's a financial reason, but I just don't understand why New Zealand played 2 Test series at all. And where the actual final will be, I think it should still be New Zealand, regardless of who makes the final, because they were the winners from the previous one. There's a lot of comments about the criticism about the World Test Championship makeup, and if Australia win one of the matches in India, will that put them through? It could, but I think India will be gunning to win that series emphatically. And Pakistan, if they can win this last Test match, it's extremely crucial for their World Test Championship.
Unbelievably.
It's unbelievably crucial. It's extremely crucial, and I think that I'm assuming that their management team will be looking at it very seriously, because it's a very big coup to make a World Test Championship final. I think into the future it'll become, well, it should become the pinnacle of finals, over and above a 50-over competition, over and above 20 overs. The World Test Championship should be touted as the most significant final in ICC World Cup competition.
100%.
Yeah,
and the
Sri Lanka, New
important
Zealand, Bangladesh, West New Zealand gone out of the question.
Yeah.
We're really deep into it now. The series at the moment with Pakistan is pivotal. Pakistan have come through with 2 draws. That's kept them in second position. South Africa, I scratched my head at. Even though they've got a chance, I don't think they're going to come through. They're going to encounter Pakistan, aren't they?
That's right. And the unfortunate part against Bangladesh, South Africans, or the premium players, they all have chosen to go to IPL instead of playing the Test series. So that's going to hurt South Africa's chances. I don't know how serious they're taking Test Championship. At this point in time, their premium bowlers and the premium batters have all chosen to go to IPL, which is, obviously individual's choice, but that would put South African Test cricket in a lot of disarray. And we've seen de Kock retiring from Test cricket just recently was not really a good move from cricket's perspective, because he's got a lot to offer in Test cricket, and he's a really good wicketkeeper batter, and a senior head, a leader in the group, who needed to carry on for another couple of years for South Africa, but he's chosen to hang his gloves off for red ball, and he's continued to play white ball cricket. Whether it is to do with what's happening in South Africa with the management, and it's always been a bit of a trouble going around in South Africa with the selection and quota system. A lot of people have spoken about it, and I think De Kock's one of them. We all know AB de Villiers had issues. Faf had different issues as well. So it's a shame to see all these guys who are still capable of playing Test cricket have given up Test cricket and put South Africa on a back foot.
Exactly. They're asking about Arun Singh is asking whether Lahore is a spin-friendly pitch. As far as I'm aware, it certainly is. It isn't.
It's not. It's traditionally very batting friendly pitch. It's not really a spinner's pitch, but it has got more life in it than compared to Karachi and Rawalpindi. It's got a bit more life. It's got a bit more carry. So I think yeah, it would be good. It would be good again for fast bowler. The square is much better than Karachi, but they've got the MCG curator now preparing the pitch, so they're trying to make a bit more lively pitch in Lahore, which I hope they do, which has got equal balance with bat and ball rather than just one side of the contest as being too heavy. So I know the curator from MCG, he's gone and prepared pitches in Dubai and Sharjah as well, which was traditionally very low and slow pitches, and he's done some work at the ICC Academy in Dubai as well. So he's there for 10 days. I know he's not going to be able to turn around in 10 days, but at least he'll try and put some life into the pitch, have a bit more hardness into it, have a bit more. I hope they leave a bit of grass in it, so it helps both sides of the leisure, whether it is with the bat or with the ball as well. So I'd like to see a bit of contest, evenly contested there in Lahore. Yeah, but it's we haven't seen the first side of the pitch yet. But they played the the PSL there on the side pitches, which was again supported more to the quickers than the spinners. So I hope it stays that way, and it's got a bit more life.
Yes. I'm just looking at something now that's just of interest. I'm just trying to work out whether there's going to be any point. Okay, just about here. Hang on, just having a look.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And again, going in Lahore with the combination, I know we touched base yesterday a little bit. I would like to see Scotty Boland having a bit of a look. Scotty Boland having a bit of a look in the playing 11 as well, because he's your inform bowler, and you want to give him a little bit of a run there. I know whether Stark's going to be rested or whether they go with one spinner in Lahore, but I like to squeeze Scotty Boland in Lahore, so that would give him a bit more reverse swing plus a channel bowler option.
So you think they're going? I wish we just welcoming Baram's just joined us. So I should really been on to say hello, Baram.
Hi, Mohsin. Hi, Norman. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Very good, thanks.
So Australia, I think they have to make some changes. Whether will they keep Swepson or will they not? Will they bring in Agar? Will they bring in Boland? I think if they're smart enough, even though Swepson's got a test berth now, they shouldn't be precious and not be afraid to take him out of the game and have Agar with Boland and probably rest. I'm still saying Travis Head. I still think
not a bad shout. Not a bad shout. They could rest.
If we actually need an extra bowler, I believe, but the right type of bowler.
That's right. They could actually go Carey 5. Then you go your all rounder at 6 and 7, and then you got your four bowlers. So it's really open. to experiment. Obviously, a win here will put them in really good stead in that World Test Championship. So I think the focus has got to be the Test Championship. You just can't put that away from your mind that you are playing for a bigger prize, which is your Test Championship. You remember last championship, Australia just missed out. So they don't want to be in a situation where they miss out because they've got, two tough series. Can't count Sri Lanka out. Australia playing in subcontinent. Obviously, India is going to be a big, big, big challenge for them to win. They haven't won well in India for quite some time. Sri Lanka also is going to be a challenging series. I don't see Australia winning in Sri Lanka too easily because obviously
No.
Sri Lankan spinners will play a lot of havoc around Aussie batters, and I see that as a tough series. And Sri Lanka could surprise. Who knows? In their home condition, all of a sudden they click and they could win a Test match there. So Australia have got a really tough run at home. India, on the other side, playing at home, I see a lot of comfort in India being qualifying. The only Test match they might have to think through is one they got to make up in England because obviously it's a one-off test. It's when you're playing a couple of tests or 3 or 4 Test matches, you get used to conditions and becomes easier. But it's a one-off Test match. It's going to be challenging even if England can. If England surprise India there, then their chances will become reliant on other results. But that's becoming interesting.
Now, Baram, you did a bit of homework. You sent me a lot of information. What's your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, if Arun Singh is asking that, what's your prediction? I would predict for the finalists to be either Australia, Pakistan, or Australia, India. Given the how the current point table situation is, and given what the upcoming matches are. So if you see the situation for Pakistan, they play New Zealand and England at home, and away they play. They already finished the Bangladesh series, if I'm not wrong. So away they play West Indies and they play Sri Lanka. So I think in away with Sri Lanka they would definitely win. Good with West Indies, maybe 2-1 or 1-1. So how that puts it in and the other thing is that in total Pakistan only play 15 matches, I think in total. So that's so like for every win, that's 1 divided by 15. So yeah, so that's roughly 6.67%. So the thing what is happening here is actually like a lot of people are commenting that on this WTC that different teams are playing different amount of matches, and then also they're not playing the same level of competition. But given the whole situation, I think this is the best what can be done. I don't think how more you can improve from this. It's really not possible to get all teams to play the same matches, play against the same opposition in the same. It's just, I think at this level, I think there would be very minor improvements can be done. The good part about this is like I really like them putting the 12 points, 6 points, and 4 points, and going on a percentage basis. So this in a way helps out the teams that who are playing more matches. So the advantage that those teams that, so if they lose their percentage point, like for example, let's take the example of England. Like if England plays 21 matches, so every match they win, that's 1 divided by 21, that's 4.78% points if they win, and 4.78% if they lose. Whereas if you see with Pakistan, that's 6.66% for every match they win or lose. So if they lose, actually they lose more, and if they win more. So yeah, so those who play less matches, for them it's more important to make sure they win. So that way, I wouldn't say it helps that much, but still helps. So coming back to the point, I think the overall format that is given for the WTC, I think this is the best that can be done. Minor improvements here, but I don't see where it can be really got on par. Like let's say a ODI tournament or or a T20 tournament. So I don't think that par is possible.
Yeah,
You
You
know
it's
what?
very hard.
any improvements in this format that can be done? Practical improvements, huh? See,
It's very hard given everyone's got different conditions as well. Their seasons don't coincide as well, especially down under. Our season don't coincide with the Asian season as well, and then English summer, and plus every leagues and whatnot have got to be accommodated, and it's just really hard given the world cricket scenario. I think this is probably the best. I would have still liked to see Pakistan India play Test series, but I don't. We all know that it's not on the cards on a short term basis. But
maybe if it's a WTC final, that's the
maybe
only
who knows? It'd be interesting. Look, who knows if Australia keeps losing in
Mm.
subcontinent, India keeps winning, and Pakistan win their home series. I think there's a very good possibility that you end up with Pakistan India playing for a final. But other than that, as you said, Bam, this is probably given minor tweaks here and there. It's given the scenario of how much cricket is getting played around the world. I think this is probably best possible way. I know it's hard. People are saying whether WTC will take over the white ball um, championships or cricket. It's different because your white ball championships are like a tournament. They play at once. They're all at one location. It's never going to be similar. The traditional Test cricketers would like to see a Test championship played, and I think a good contest would be two sides back.
I think the
Look, there's
way
a good
ODI.
point. Marshall Rahel is just saying here that Ashton Agar can take Bubba's wicket. I think, there's a lot of pluses there. I think Shrebson, after having bowled 50 overs in that second innings, may have exposed a weakness rather than a positive. I think that was Agar may have been a better option, but it's easy to say that now, I know, but I think that they're going to have to consider that for that too. Back to the World Test Championship just quickly. I don't want to interrupt you guys because you're making a lot of sense. You know what? I honestly think the way that things, as long as Pakistan do well in the third test and India do what they do at home, we are looking at a potential Pakistan-Indian World Test Championship final. I really think that quite strongly. That'll be huge.
Be massive, especially for media, especially for crowds, especially for the two test loving nations. It would be massive. And imagine if it's played in India, in one of the bigger test arenas where you got accommodate a lot of crowd, and the amount of noise you're going to get in a stadium, and the following for that test match,
No,
it's
but
going to be.
let's say if that does happen, I doubt it would be either in India or Pakistan because they would
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
neutral
But it would
venues.
have.
Maybe Dubai or which is the biggest stadium over there. Oh,
Well, wouldn't it be? Look, if they're going to do this properly, they've got to award the final to the team that won the previous final. That to me is the logical movement. Otherwise, there'll be always conjecture as to, oh, it's in Dubai, it was England, why was it there, why was it here? If they just make that the rule, then there's no question.
if
But
you ask me, Mohsen, sorry to interrupt. Like if uh, I think the point you're trying to make, like New Zealand, it looks very remote that they will be a finalist. So yeah, okay, maybe a final location given in New Zealand, yeah, makes sense. But more than location, I would tweak this if it is practically possible that instead to have a like a IPL or a PSL kind of final where the top four go into the like a tournament. So the one plays two and three plays four. So the loser of 1 and 2 will play the winner of 3 and 4, and they will go into the final playing that. So that small tournament, maybe if it can happen, so you will have a better four players coming in because right now what with the number of people playing and the difference in the matches, the difference in points, then points being deducted because of
And that's
becoming a very fine line.
I agree. It's a good suggestion. They need to look at it. It's only additional 4 test matches. If you think about that, it's not asked. You're only organizing additional 4 test matches. So
Additional 3 actually, if you see.
additional 3 if you look at that way. Yeah. So if you think you're giving it good weighting out of the series, who's played who and where they've played, and some teams have missed out on more matches or less matches, I think that would even out some sort of normality into that who's really a Test champion, because then you're giving everyone a really good hot go, the top four, then deserving to play against the the better opposition, and try and one more run
but
towards the championship. But it's a good suggestion. I like that.
no, but I'm not knocking it, but I think it all comes down to time.
Time,
I think it comes
money,
down to
time.
for them to do that. That's going to be an elaborate time frame, and
it will take a month. Like it will take a month's time if you see we have to put in 4 matches.
But I rather like the drama about, oh my God, that point's here, that failed here, this failed here, get you into the final. I rather like that because it's rather cutthroat, and it's not necessarily, it may not appear fair, but that adds to the whole drama of it, and the need for teams to be very acutely aware of where they sit, otherwise they miss out. By giving them the semi-final berth, that sort of makes it more comfortable that they can afford to do certain things, get away with it, because they may still make the semi-finals. That's my thoughts. I think it's almost like a Champions League or the Premier League in England, where the top team wins the comp. It's almost kind of like that. I rather like this, in my own thoughts, to me, because otherwise it becomes very, very time-wise complicated. But I agree with you. What you're saying is more logical.
Very logical.
Practical.
True.
But yeah, I still would like the charm of an Indian-Pakistan final. I would like to see if it were to be Australia versus either India or Pakistan. But the location. So, do we actually know how they're going to pick the location? Who's making the decision?
If Australia qualifies, there's no better location than MCG, I think. So for me, if Australia is there with either India or Pakistan, they'll probably try and play either MCG or Kolkata. Would be good.
Whoever the 2 teams qualify, the match will definitely not be in that country. It will be a third country for sure.
Third, you reckon?
That's really the concept. Because why will, let's say I am Pakistan, why will I play in Australia, in Australian conditions? Final.
Yeah. If it's India and Pakistan, they could bring it to Australia, but I don't know if India and Pakistan want to play in Australia. If SCG, they both would probably play it rather than at Gabba or Perth, because SCG would suit the batting and spin conditions for both. So that's one option. But if Australia and India qualifies, they could either go back to England, or they wouldn't want to go South Africa. But
Dubai. I think India would select
Dubai.
I think it's very easy. Just let the team who won the last World Test Championship be the ground location. That's fair. Because they've won it. They deserve to have something come back to their homeland, even though they may not make the final. It kind of frees up this. But why are we picking that ground? Why is that? Why? Because we always cop pitch discussions or location discussions.
True.
It overwhelms you somewhat. If you just make it's clear. The team that wins it gets it. That's it. You can't have questions about it anymore, because you got.
Even there was like Norman. Remember last time? I think who made the point? Aparna. I think Aparna made the point, like having only a single one match as a final is also, for a tournament that has been a series, to have a final just a one match is also. So maybe they can have at least 3 matches, but that then one again. Then I think that 4 kind of a thing makes more sense rather than having 3 matches with just
series. Yeah. Again, it's just the calendar. International calendar is so tight, especially with the leagues around the world. Now that you see the windows are getting squeezed, like South Africa playing Bangladesh while IPL is happening as well. So the windows are getting tighter and tighter with the time availability and whatnot. So it's interesting how they got to keep Test cricket alive. They got to keep Test cricket competition a premium competition as well, because if it doesn't happen, the Test cricket is going to be a dying art where you only see traditional athletes and India, Australia playing, and Pakistan, India not even playing at
I,
all. So
I would put it this way: the Test cricket, in fact, has got a better impetus right now, or better future, I think, compared to ODI cricket. In fact, I
one
would
day,
see ODI
yeah,
cricket
Oh,
yeah,
suffering.
yeah. Well, one day cricket is
I just don't see anybody interested right now. Like, if you ask me, like me, I'm more interested. Most interested I'm is to watch Test cricket. After that, if you ask me, it's T20 because somehow I don't know the ODI does not fit in between.
well, one day cricket. ICC said they're keeping one day cricket because commercially is very successful. So for ICC to keep one day cricket just because of the financial side of things, I don't see crowd interested or even watch TV. I'm interested. Um, but 2020 is definitely keeping a lot of young generation alive, and even the ladies are very much interested. Families here in Big Bash, you see a lot of families, young families. The girls, they're going to Big Bash games. So the 2020 is targeting a bigger market in terms of that. But Test cricket for the traditionals, yes.
No, what I like about T20 cricket, the best thing what I liked about T20 cricket till now is like the number of more nations that it has got into playing cricket.
True.
Like
Very true.
you take Germany, those a
All,
lot of actual games have, and even here Philippines, Malaysia, people are actually playing there, and
yeah,
it's more convenient to play. It's more they can get up
mm,
a team, and it's easier for them to be like 4 hours on the field rather than being
mm.
like 8 to 9 hours on the field. So that is one very good thing that T20 cricket has got, where they've got, and that would maybe lead to teams playing ODI and then maybe even Test.
I think so. I agree. I think that's going to supersede your number of cricket played around. Is going to be be there, and plus US, it's getting big as well. They've got a lot of baseball stadiums converted, and there are a lot of expats in US, and their US league is getting bigger and bigger. And they're playing in associate country. Canada is playing there as well. We've had 2020 competition in Canada, a league which was very successful. I was part of two of the leagues there in Canada, so that's gone bigger as well. Crowds big in Canada, small grounds, a lot of sixes and whatnot. So and obviously Southeast Asia is getting a lot of traction there. Middle East, UAE team there. Oman's playing. I heard. Qatar has got a team as well. So there's a lot of associate nations now on board playing the 2020 PNG. I was surprised to see PNG qualified last year. One of my good mates, Joe Dawes, used to coach PNG, and they qualified last time for the World Cup. So yeah, I like to see that associate country base getting bigger and bigger to take part.
just quickly, just a couple of points from the questions. First and foremost, people are saying that Test cricket's dying. Well, it isn't. It's the T20 is certainly gaining interest. ODI is caught in the middle. The thing with Test cricket, a lot of people watch Test cricket, but they don't go to the grounds, especially in the subcontinents, which disappoints me. But they do certainly watch it. The other question, we've got a question there from Pavinder. He brought up, read this one out, Brahm. What do you think of this? I think this is maybe a bit too wishful thinking.
Why not World Test Championship cycle of 2 to 3 months, each team playing one match each other at home, so top four get playoffs.
Yeah.
Means you will have parallel matches.
Mm.
It sounds a bit too difficult because of the sheer time frame and
frame and
conflicting
schedule,
events.
yeah, schedules, availability, leagues. It will become
Maybe
ICC.
this is possible if all the countries have a separate team for tests.
Yeah, that's
Itself are separate,
mm.
so maybe that is possible, and they are like only for tests.
Yeah,
Who
but
knows, in
then
the future even that might happen.
it could happen. But at current point in time, you have a lot of players overlap in your white ball cricket and red ball cricket. You could probably have more so in white ball cricket because the white ball pool is bigger than the red ball pool. Because you want your premium players to play red ball cricket, and likes of Kohli and And Jadeja and Bumrah and Ashwin, you would probably want to play them in the red ball cricket rather than if the Sunny
Yeah,
10.
it's a good thought, but it's not going to happen because the schedules are too full as it stands now. That's the
At this
problem.
point, yeah.
I mean, I rather like this. I rather like this that we do play the final at Lords because of its traditional nature, and it's. I think that would be a good way to do it. But we found out what happened last time. Weather affected it; they had to go somewhere else. The time of the year was poor. There's a lot of issues, but I would argue that's a good way of doing it. But I think the alternative for giving to the team that actually won the previous time is at least unquestioned. You can't go against it. Kishan decides that it is king of the world. Well, some would say that, some would disagree with you.
Well, there's a lot of arguments in favor of that.
Of course, we've got several things going on here. We've got this tests going on at the moment between all and sundry, but we also have an IPL about to start in a week's time.
Right.
We have a Women's World Cup. Now, again, South Africa keep winning close matches. Arizona Caps playing out of the. Did you see that?
When is South Africa, Australia? That would be a good match to watch.
I know it's getting at the pointy end, and I'm surprised at England. They only have one win against India. They just really disappointed me because here in Ashes they were compatible, and in warm-up games they did well, and then all of a sudden they just crumbled. And I'm surprised that England, being a champion from previous World Cup, they're struggling. I like the way India have approached it. I like the way Australia have consolidated after being hammered by New Zealand in warm-up. New Zealand's still there, and it's surprisingly South Africa is doing well. And Marizanne Kapp, as you said, she's a great ambassador of cricket. She played here for us in Sydney Sixers as well. She's phenomenal batter, and she bowls really good heat, and she's a phenomenal death bowler as well. So she's leading the way in South African team. So
just received an email, by the way, guys. Just a bit of breaking news. Pakistan have announced their ODI and T20 squads.
Oh, they have, yep.
And as we know, Usman Khadir's in the ODI squad.
Yep.
And let's see, he's also in the T20 squad.
Yeah.
Paris Ralph is there as well.
Yep.
Some interesting names there. Haider Ali, Asif Afridi. Interesting. There are 20 in the ODI squad. I'm gonna have to release. That's just been released.
So Australia versus South Africa movement on 22nd March, as per
22nd. Yeah.
Chandra.
That would be a match to watch. Actually, I think
that's what Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah, that would be a really good game to watch.
Sorry.
Australia versus South Africa, ODI.
Right now, we know what happened with the series that was meant to happen in South Africa, the Test series, ODI T20 series, which didn't go ahead, was cancelled because of COVID. Whatever happened to that? Did we just simply get points shared?
Yeah, just a series. I don't think there's any points awarded.
That was in the last WTC cycle, Norman. I think it was as if the series was never
never happened.
Scheduled, yeah. Never scheduled itself.
No.
But still, it ruined Australia's chances, didn't it? That's what the fact that they didn't play that series stuffed Australia big time.
I would say means like Norman, you were expecting that Australia would go to South Africa and win like 3-0, so they would have got it. Means
what?
Is that what they're trying to say?
No harm thinking like that.
Look, in the end, New Zealand won, and that was all we can talk about. Mind you, India stuffed it. They had a big opportunity to win that, and they stuffed it, didn't they? Which is a bit frustrating for them, I must admit. Yeah. So it's interesting that they've announced the 20-man squad. Usman Khadir. It wouldn't have been nice if Usman Khadir got to play the Test series purely because his father is named after
named after the trophy. Yeah. I think he's not far from Test cricket. I think he's doing well, and I hope he gets a good run as well at Test cricket. Because seriously, with Yasir Shah being unfit and not informed, they don't have any other leg spinner of note making a mark in Test cricket or in first class cricket. So I think Usman's got a good chance to make it through. He's got a good head on his shoulder, and Norman, you've met him quite a few times here in Sydney. He's a smart bowler. He knows what he's doing. So I'd like to see him get a crack at Test cricket as well.
I like him as a person too. I think he's very respectful, actually.
Yeah.
Well, just for your sake, Baram, Moses and I and a fellow friend Maz Sheikh and a few others, and we obviously they came to Australia, a part of Lahore Qalandars. We befriended them. They were taken care of by who was it? They stayed at. I'm losing names now. Where did they stay? They stayed
with Rana. With Rana.
Of course, they was Rana in his house. Four of them, in fact. One didn't end up doing too much. Salman certainly went very close, but Harris, Ralph, and Usman Qadir were certainly the standouts. And it's very special to have been exposed to those young guys because they were very nice, very pleasant.
And they were training. They were training with us at Sixers nets as well. So that's where Usman got picked up for Perth Scorchers, and Harish got picked up for Stars. So all three of them have been very, and it's pleasing to see these guys working hard and making it to the next level. So I'd like to see, as I said, I'd like to see Usman make an inroads, and it'd be good to see Harish play in Lahore as well, make a debut. Because I think Hassan Ali is still not fit. He's still struggling with his bowling. So it'd be good to see Haris Rauf make his debut at Lahore.
It's actually a pity that they didn't pick that up with Hassan Ali and actually play him in the test at Karachi. He may have been very useful for them, in fact, as well. So I'll just post to everybody these updates to the teams.
Australia playing in Sri Lanka, you will have the Vaughan Muralidharan Trophy. So that would be
fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great trophy. You've seen that they put the hand positioning of the two bowlers. It's quite special too.
Is the state funeral done of Shane Warne?
Sorry?
Is the state funeral done for Shane Warne?
No, that's happening on March 30th. Rod Marsh. There was a memorial for Rod Marsh today at Adelaide Oval. I think he was buried, not today, he was buried earlier, but they had a memorial at Adelaide Oval for him today.
Body has been interned?
Sorry?
Yeah, body's arrived. Yeah, body's back in.
No, but the body has been interned? No, still.
Rod Marsh, you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about Shane Warne.
Shane Warne.
Oh, it's arrived in Australia. I believe it's this Sunday that the private funeral's on. This Sunday, which is obviously not open to the public. Rod Marsh was today. Then on March 30th is the MCG event. Mind you, it's going to be MCG and SCG. They're going to have cameras and full house in the SCG as well as MCG, which is rather special. Another thing we need to also note today, it's been 26 years since Sri Lanka won the World Cup. And Upal Chandana, who I know personally, put a message on social media, and I congratulated him and we had a bit of a chat. And I actually sent him the link to today's program. I was going to try and drag him onto our show today. He's a nice bloke. He's very, very, very humble. And of course, Dar Messina was in that same squad as well. And he's now, of course, umpire. 26 years ago. So that's another thing. Sure, I'm afraid hang their hat on that too. That's all they hang their hat on because they haven't won much else. They've won another, I think, an ICC tournament.
They won the T20 World Cup 2014, I think.
Yeah, but they don't get excited about that. They get excited about the 50 over World Cup that they won in '96.
Right. Yeah, and they were against the odds as well.
Do you know what the government did for them? They gave them a block of land right next to Parliament, which was actually government land in Sri Lanka for the Sri Lankan team that won the World Cup. Many, many years later, these guys got together and they built put a huge apartment block on there, and now they have made a lot of money. But they were given land right next to Parliament, which is quite intriguing.
So they sold the apartment blocks to the common people, or they themselves are staying there.
What's that?
No. So they build an apartment building, and they are selling off the apartments to common people. Okay.
It took them 15 plus years to do it.
They gave a one block of land to like the whole 15, 16 players.
Yeah, right next to the Parliament. So it was obviously government land already. They just gave it. Incredible gesture, really. It's quite not that the guys need it. I mean, well, not all of them are financially successful. Kalu's got his own hideaway retreat in the middle of Sri Lanka. Arjuna's got he was a minister in Parliament, but he's also got hydroelectric schemes and whatever else. He's got a few things going on. Some of them done very well. Chiminda Vas owns an apartment in a block which I used to own in Havelock City. Yeah.
They own the restaurant Ministry of Crap. I think the costliest restaurant in the world.
That's right.
All right. So, okay. Then at this early stage, who are your finalists for WTC?
My prediction is, like my heart goes India, Pakistan, but I think Australia, India for me.
So your heart goes
India, Pakistan.
I hope so too. Yeah. But I think it'll be Australia versus one of those two.
That's right. Yeah, that's what.
But I believe India, Pakistan could happen. What about you, Australia,
India. That's what I feel.
Okay. So we're all three of us.
Dark horse, South Africa, maybe.
Yeah. I was about to say that, but I'll tell you what, they don't deserve to bloody well be in any final. Come on. They're not that good a side. No Quinton de Kock. A bunch of Van der Dusen, whatever his name is, who hasn't done anything.
No, but the bowlers are good. They have a good bowling lineup.
The Rabada.
New bowlers coming in. They have a lot of grit and determination.
Rabada and Norje, they're both pretty good, and Maharaj is pretty good too.
Who's the tall bowler who came in? The thin, tall guy.
Marco Jensen.
Yeah, Jensen.
He brother bowled the nets, didn't they, to India, and they were unknowns. The Indian team thought, oh, these two are pretty good, and they snaffled to play for Mumbai Indians out of that net practice.
That's right.
Not unlike Harris Ralph, you would argue, because he bowled to the Australians, didn't he? And even Usman Kadir, he was found rather strangely, wasn't he, that way?
Exactly.
Justin Lanka brought him to WA.
Yeah.
It's as they say, diamonds are found in the rough.
That's it. That's exactly right.
I mean, the story of Malinga was the classic. He hadn't bowled with a cricket ball either, and was it was down on a beach bowling, apparently. That's how he first was found. That's quite remarkable, really. And there were a couple of young. Sorry?
Who found him on the beach? Like, what was the guy doing on the beach looking for talent?
It was one of the former cricketers, I think, did. The classic for me was I had an experience back in 2000, and I think it might have been 6 or something. I was at Kushal Gunasekara, who was the manager of Murali and even well connected to Mahela and Sangakkara. He runs a place called the Foundation of Goodness down in Senegama, which is in Sri Lanka, where the tsunami hit. And I was down there, and Arjuna was playing. I ended up playing in Arjuna's team. It was called against the British Parliamentary 11, and I was playing for Sri Lanka. And Arjuna was talking about how good a player I was. It was quite funny. But anyway, in that game, we had a couple of kids come literally out of the trees. I'm not joking, out of the woods, no shoes, no cricket gear of any sort. And Kushal had seen one of them play and dragged him into the middle and said, bowl in front of Arjuna. And I was watching. He could spin it both ways. And he ended up playing provincial high-level cricket and was Sri Lankan under-19s. He was quite a distinct player. And we found him, and he wasn't even wearing shoes.
There's a lot of stories.
Killed in the tsunami, all these incredible stories. I love that. And Pakistan, as you know, went to the Highlands to get these guys from the Lahore Qalandars. And India should do this. I don't think India do that as well. India don't
India,
go on.
India's domestic cricket circuit is really strong now. India's talent program, India academy program is really strong. So talent is filtering through really well, and in the academy where Dravid spent a lot of time, I think the talent is really filtering through. You need to run those talent hunt programs when the talent is not filtering through. Whereas India's structure is now really good. Their academy structure is really good, and that's why the talent is filtering through proper channel really well. I think their school cricket has always been strong, but I think now they've got.
I think the problem right now with India has been like I think it's not the talent pool; it's a problem. Talent is coming in. It's like how well they are managing the talent in the 11. I think that has become a problem because I really don't want what happened with Rane and Pujara, that amount of time that was given to him. And I would even blame that a little for the loss of the WTC championship. And I would even add Ishan Sharma. Like, people don't talk, but Ishan Sharma, like, even if you see like what was his performance like so many years, like one match he would give an average performance, but continuously he would be in the team. So those three, I would say in that match, even if instead of Ishan Sharma, if Siraj would have been there, the WTC might have had a different scenario.
True.
Now, there's some comments here I've just noticed. Who was the best between Marco Jensen and Cameron Green? Well, that's not really a good comparison because Marco Jensen's not really an all-rounder. I think Cameron Green's probably a better all-rounder. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, look, I think both have got different skills. I think what I've seen in Cameron Green is quite amazing, that the way
in terms of bowling, I would say Michael Johnson, but overall looking wise, still early to say because Johnson also does bat a little, if I'm not wrong.
True, he does. So it's really early days, but I think for what we've seen so far in Cameron Green, he's probably touch ahead. Both are equally good fielders, but in terms of just all-round skills, I think Cameron Green's just a little bit ahead at this point.
Okay. All right, so we've got others. If Indian government gave away land to Indian players, then government will be under loss. The truth is that Sachin Tendulkar was given a building. I'm pretty sure he was given a house or a building from the government at one stage. Okay. Himanshu Rahela saying Shubman Gill versus Jason Sangha. And Jason Sanger's done very well today, apparently. They both played each other in under 19s, both Gill and Sangha. And both of them not playing Test cricket. So that's a bit of a sad thing.
Yeah. And Sangha is now doing well in domestic circuit as well as T20. I'd like to keep his development going. And New South Wales are investing in him quite heavily now. He's got leadership role. He's captain just against Queensland just recently concluded one-day game. So they're spending quite a lot of time. They're investing quite a lot of time, and I think Gill is in a similar sort of frame. I think the Indians are investing in him. I hope that they both come good and they both come and play for a long time.
Well, he should be playing for Australia. He should have been considered for selection when they had it. When he was scoring centuries against touring sides. He got a century against Sri Lanka, I think England, and in the touring matches, he got centuries. Now, wouldn't it have been an opportunity to put him in there? Because to me, he's all class. Unlike Osman Khawaja, and we need a player like that side. We really do. I still think Pat Cummins' captaincy's days are numbered.
Look, he came out and tried to defend the drop catches, but I think 5 drop catches in last day, you can't justify that in any way or manner. So you can't just. It's very hard to go in a press conference and try and justify 5 drop catches, but it eventually did cost them the game. And you got to take the ownership of those drop catches. I know they're not easy, but Test match catches never easy, so you got to take them.
Mosir, if that is the point, that I would say the drop catch of the catch that Steve Smith threw was more caused more damage to Australia than Khawaja. And if you see, I would give him some slack to Khawaja over there. The reason being, like he was standing at short leg custody and just one ball he shifted over there. He was still with his pads, with his helmet, and
Hodges' catch was late in the game, but I think Smith's catch. Then you got two.
Smith's catch was like a regulation catch. It's like in the morning, like when you're doing, it's cold in the morning, and to get your balls warm, you take a regulation catches. It was that kind of a catch.
No excuse for Smith's catch. Even for Manas and Travers had to catch at short leg. They would regulation catches for a short leg and silly point. They practiced quite a lot in that positions, both of them.
Manas one was, I think it was direct from the bat. It was not you won't say.
One the bat and pad, and one was direct off the bat.
Yeah.
So direct off the bat is hard, but with the bat and pad, deflection was.
But putting this just my views on this test match, the recently concluded, I would say Pakistan lost an opportunity to win the match.
Agreed.
Number one, they got an opportunity because they played very bad in the first innings. Or Australia ball, they were able to swing the ball. But if you see the right from the first day or way the situation was, it was a draw anyway. It just became excited because that, and given that situation that they batted so long, they should have actually been somewhat. I'm disappointed that there was no intent for them to go for the win.
Yeah, I think if you listen to Babar, he was saying if they would have escaped through the lunch session without losing a wicket, they lost the wicket just before lunch, so that's what put a little bit of halt in their chase, and then coming in with the Fawad, he's not really an aggressive batter. He took a little bit of time to get settled, and then he got out as well, so that put them into a back foot, and then Rizwan said in his press conference as well, in his talk to the media, that they were planning to go after tea. They were going to go hard, and even if you look at after tea, they still had 150 to get in 30 overs, which is very doable. But then they lost Babar as well, so that's what put the last nail in the coffin. But I think I agree with you. They could have made a move between lunch and tea that session when Aussie bowlers were tired. The ball was soft. They would have made a bit more intention in that session to go a bit harder. But I think they were going safety first approach, which probably, you can argue both ways, but I think they could have gone a little bit harder in that session.
For me, and for me on Pat Cummins, like you were saying, this comment, I think, number one, he went for the follow-on. I think that he didn't go for the follow-on was a good decision. Like, given the situation, if you see, now barely people go, like, if you are able to bowl 50 plus overs, and you see it doesn't make sense. And like, if you are able to get them out, you usually get them out in 80, 90, 100 overs, not so long. But the only point where I found was very confusing was Nathan Lyon taking two continuous wickets when the new ball was due in just 1 over or something. So if he got the show, why not continue with the old ball and make him bowl? So he took the new ball, and after taking the new ball, the fast bowlers bowled just 1 over each, and then again the spinners. I really did not understand what was going on.
We harped about this so long yesterday, and it did not make any sense that your spinners.
All right, just a couple of questions. Tarun V asked about where is the World Test Championship being held. Why don't we know that? Why don't we know that now?
No, I don't. We don't know yet. But I think
why don't we know?
It's on the website. It's on Planet Earth.
No, I've gone to the website. They haven't got a date even. I don't think the date's clear.
No.
It is not, but the location is fixed. It's on Planet Earth.
Oh, is it?
Anyway, okay. We'll find out more, but we'll let people know. Also, there's been discussion about Pujara playing for Sussex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good for him. I think he needs.
Good on him. He makes money out of that. His Test career is over, so good on him.
I don't think it's over, Norman. If he makes both Rane, and if they really show a consistent perform in the domestic or this, they can. They're
not. That's bad to bring them back. Seriously. We've got to move to the next stage. Otherwise, we'll be letting them play.
I would say, guy, nobody's talking of Ishant Sharma. What do you think? He will, like, people are not even talking about him.
No.
At least Rane
Well,
Pujara people are aware but talk about Ishant Sharma.
you wouldn't mess with him. He's pretty scary looking. He's quite tall and quite, angry looking.
Bowlers are so underrated, like this is the point I'm coming.
Shreyas Iyer is the future. He's probably going to be a future Indian captain, let's be honest, I reckon, some stage. Okay, just another quick note about the test series between Australia and Pakistan. I keep mentioning the fact that 5 out of the top 6 Pakistani batsmen all scored centuries in the first 2 tests, whereas only one Australian, Khawaja, scored a century. That's a telling stat. I don't care if he got 90s or not. One Australian batsman out of 2 tests, in fact, only the one test, one innings, 160. No one else scored a century. Whereas with the Pakistan, Imam scored 2. Asar Ali scored a massive 185. We know that Badr Azam scored the 196. And Shafiq scored a century and very close as well. And then Rizwan. It's only Fawad Alam, and he won't get a bloody century if he keeps batting towards a backward point or whatever, backward square leg or whatever. Oh, I'm sorry. Has he always batted that way?
No, he didn't. He's changed his stance in last few years. He used to be not in a normal stance, but then last 5 or 6 years.
He's batting like that even 10. I remember 12 years back when he was not in the team. He used to bat that way. Like a Chandrapal kind of he had long back. At that time he was removed that people did not, but he performed well. But I find him to be performed. I think the only the Australians have that, the fast bowlers have that extra pace, so that's where it's hitting him. But against the other teams, he has been very good.
He will struggle against the pace because obviously it takes a lot of time to get in line with the ball, in line with the pace and swing of the ball, and that flaw works when you're playing against the lesser of the speed in air speed and the spinners who are not spinning sharply. It will work, but then against the quality pace, high end air speed, you will always struggle, and that's what it's been exposed in 2 innings that he's played. He didn't look like that he was going to get any runs. So he's got 100 against New Zealand and South Africa, where the bounce and the pace was coming on to the bat nicely. So whenever there's a testing condition, he will struggle, and I think he will struggle in Lahore as well.
And another point with this Pakistan-Australia series, I heard that Pakistan has hired a foreign curator for the Lahore test. I don't know what's going on with that. Their test crickets in so many years, and now they are saying they don't even know how to make pitches.
They've got curator from MCG, the ex-MCG curator. He's in Lahore for the last few days. So
he will make a pitch suiting Australia.
He would not. He would not. He's on a payroll on PCB. You think that he'll make a pitch suited to Australia?
Why not?
You never know. You never know. He's an MCG, ex-MCG.
Hey, this is the most mind-boggling thing I heard. That the pitch curator. Imagine a match in Pakistan. A pitch curator is from Australia. That's MCG for a match between Pakistan and Australia.
That's PCB for you.
That's maybe like talking of like WTC. Let's say India, Australia, and the match is in India and Ahmedabad. But Australia say, okay, match will be there, but curator will be mine.
Australian. No, it doesn't make sense. This is.
Well, there's a lot of twists and turns anyway. So back to women's cricket for a minute. South Africa, even though they've won all 4 of their first games, but they did beat Bangladesh and Pakistan, which are not known to be threats to them. They beat England, who were playing poorly. They beat New Zealand, which was a bit of a shock. There's momentum in their side, but you know what? They're not going to win it. I'm afraid, like all South African sides, they will fall apart semi-finals wise.
Australia South Africa games becomes peak for South Africa. So if they don't do well on Tuesday morning, I think that game is on. So if they don't do well on Tuesday, I think the tournament is out.
So Himanshu Rahel is saying, mark my words, Australia will beat Pakistan in Lahore. I don't think so.
Let's see. Interesting. We'll definitely mark your words.
They're going to have to win the toss for starters.
The pitch curator is Australian. Norman, what do you want?
Yeah, true. You got to give that.
Well, no, I just think that I don't think.
The pitch curator is Australian. Lahore is in the north. Conditions are a little cold, so.
Just the way that Pat Cummins put bloody Labuschagne on the bowl that second last over was just an absolute brain explosion. That was the and what I don't like, I'm getting a bit annoyed with
Again,
the interviews after the game. He'll defend everything and say, "Oh no, we went really well. We did everything we possibly could. We made all the right plans." No, you didn't. How could you? Was in your plans to bowl Labuschagne last night and bowl Swepson 50 odd overs when he wasn't taking a wicket? No. They flogged Swepson to death. They gave him too many overs.
But the other way, see, that was a wicket that the last wicket would have batted out 25-30 overs. The 10th wicket, like what happened for Australia, like you see, same with Pakistan. Sajid Khan bowled like what 40-50 overs for.
Right. 1 wicket or something.
It was a both way. I'm telling you, the match was supposed to be a dull draw like the first match, but it was just that Pakistan screwed up in the first inning. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Don't make out.
It was a draw. It was the most exciting match. Watching Babar Azam get 196 was pure class. That was one of the best innings I've seen. One of the most faultless innings I've ever seen.
I would say Babar Azam should have got 250 with that same amount of balls. We're playing 450. How many? 470 balls. How many did he play?
Yeah, but they went after lunch. They went safety first, and that's what probably the approach was to secure.
My point is not even hitting. With this normal, let us slightly more intent. I would say he would have easily been at 250. For the same amount of ball, if really there was a slightly more intent.
Yeah, agree. But that's as you said before as well. Their mindset was to save first rather than try and have a bit more intent. Which Rizwan had more intent. If you see his innings, he even towards the end he still had the intent, whereas Babar went with safety first. And I think that's where they lost the momentum. They were not scoring runs post lunch that first hour, and their intent was just to block, and not even have put away. They were taking singles, rotating strikes, but yeah, the intent was just to survive, basically.
Well, but don't forget, Pakistan only needed another 62 runs, and they could have won the match. 62 runs. And they came pretty close, and they had plenty of wickets in hand. They had They had enough batsmen to actually. They would have gotten that 500 plus score.
Yeah, if they had more intent in the middle session, I think they would have.
But Norman, people are saying that Pakistan is looking, or some are saying that Pakistan is like being the situation. They're saying the draw is like a win, and I would say Australia should look at it as this draw as a win because they were in a dominating position on such a pitch where the match was supposed to be a dull draw. So they should actually have Pat Cummins should have a pat on his back. Pat should have a pat on his back.
The truth is, really, this is Pakistan's home territory, and really they should be winning.
Yeah, this is not like Sydney. This is not like India, Australia, Sydney. What happened at Sydney? That is, yes, you say that. It was like a win. That draw was like a win for India when Ashwin and Vihari batted. That draw was like a win. Saying that this draw was like a win, I would say pushing it. I would say, in fact, that was a win for Pakistan that they made it a draw. And it was
a mighty comeback for a team to come back from having all that fun.
A very confusing match, Norman. I would put it a very weird test match.
But no one can tell me it was boring. It was not boring. It was riveting.
It was not boring only for the last day. Or I would say the last 2 days. The last 2 days. First 3 days was very boring. The last 2 days.
But it did make out with Pakistan's poor batting first. That's where the came unbatted poorly first innings. So
I would say exactly half. The first 2.5 days was very boring. From the first innings of Pakistan, it put some life in.
Norm, I love you and love your crowd, Baham.
Thanks, sir.
Getting a bit late.
Bye bye.
And I'll catch up with you guys again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. See you later.
Ciao. But just on those, the World Test Championship, people have to understand, should be the most important format. People are saying the T20 and 50 over are more important. Well, traditionally we would say that because we didn't have a World Cup for Test cricket. Now we have. Let's embrace it. Let's get something out of it. But I still can't understand why we haven't got a location. Have we got a date?
No, there's no date. But the location, it was clear because it depends, like what I understood after the first, it depends on who the finalists are. That's why they won't announce the location till the finalists are announced.
Well, so but hang on, it shouldn't be favouring either of the two finalists though. It should be
Yeah,
the same.
so that's why it doesn't make sense to let's say I announce the location as England, and what if England come as a finalist?
Well, no. If you pick the team that won the previous title, which is New Zealand, that's the fairest way of doing it because
No, but then let's say if New Zealand is the finalist of this WTC, then
I
it's
think they
highly
should.
favoring them, right? It's not then it's not a par final. Like you cannot have a final in where in a country who's one of the finalists.
Well, I'm not sure what they're not really publicly
That
saying.
is the logic. I read that. That's why they're not on. They'll wait till the finalists to have that announcement.
All right. All right, Bram. I'm going to get going soon too. So thanks for coming. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I'll log off.
But you're saying it'll be Australia versus someone, or you think maybe India Pakistan? You're hoping India Pakistan.
I don't think India Pakistan will be a possibility given the matches and schedule. And I the way it looks at it will be either Australia Pakistan or Australia India.
All right, and Tarun, well, the UAE is, if it's going to be anything, that's going to be very favourable to Pakistan, and so I'm not sure the UAE is the right, but it could be. It could be.
So you are logging on now. I'll continue with the show.
Okay. Thanks, Ram. Thanks for coming.
Okay, Raman. Bye, everyone. Bye, Tarun. Bye, Satwik.
Ciao.
Bye, everyone.
So it's good to have both Baram and Mosen yet again to talk about this. And it is between Australia, South Africa, India, and Pakistan. The rest aren't going to make the World Test Championship final. And of course, the announcement of the Pakistan sides are there. We've just found that out. I'm assuming Australia will make some announcements soon too. They've been very quiet on the media front today. Otherwise, it's a pretty good result. All right, guys. So don't forget to view, like, and share the posts. Make sure you subscribe and pass on information, please. We're going to have more. We've got a few days now until the Lahore test, and we'll see how we go. But the Australians and Pakistanis have arrived. I like the way that the two teams have come together. It's almost like a banded group. And you're right, after ball champion, Australia's bowling looks ordinary. You're right, Himanshu. I want to see South Africa play well and qualify for them. It's your decision, Tarun. I don't think they're going to do it, though, somehow. All right, guys. Well, you take care now. We'll talk to each other again, hopefully tomorrow, but definitely leading into the third test. And England are playing West Indies as a quick. Joe Root got yet another century. He's got getting closer and closer to 10,000 test runs. And the women's cricket, South Africa undefeated like Australia, but I don't think South Africa will win that. I think the South Africa women's team have played out of their skin somewhat, but it's a rather uncertain time for them. And will you do videos for IPL? Of course I will. You're in Sydney, yes, correct. None should. All right, guys. Take care. We'll talk soon again. Let's hope that Quick Official subscribed. What's this? All right, guys. Talk soon again. All the best, guys.